Hello, my name is Nancy Pinson, and I have developed this training on managing multiple generations. Understanding generations is key to managing a safe and efficient team, no matter how large or small it is. In this training, we are concentrating on preventing bias to remove assumptions based on generational differences, avoiding conflict to enhance communication and understanding between coworkers, promoting equity to ensure that all employees are treated fairly despite not understanding different generations, embracing diversity to help employees realize the value of working with different generations that may bring surprising and helpful skills to the group. It is my hope that by showing the differences that shaped each generation, the employees may gain a better understanding of their coworkers and harness those differences to make a more efficient, diverse, equitable, and well-rounded team that communicates for the better of the agency. The price of ignoring generational differences may be dear and harm your agency. Some of these differences may result in conflicting priorities, which may lead employees to believe their approach to a situation is correct rather than what is best for the agency. Dismissing talent, which may lead to hiring someone based on an assumption, is illegal or could harm the agency. Lawsuits may result from dismissing an employee based on their age and not their performance. This could lead to a debilitating lawsuit should that employee appeal an action to the Merit Systems Protection Board or other court, and setting precedent that only members of specific generations are sufficiently trained or educated to complete a job or special project. This may influence subordinates into mirroring this unprofessional behavior, which may ultimately harm an organization. The questions of why generations should be defined and the importance of doing so is simple to answer. According to the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission website, the Age Discrimination in Employment, or ADEA, forbids age discrimination against people who are age 40 or older. It does not protect workers under the age of 40s, although some states have laws that protect younger workers from age discrimination. For the purpose of this training, we are focusing on the federal act. To quote Scott McCrindle, unless organizations can understand, engage, communicate, connect, and build products or services for the different generations, then they will edge toward irrelevancy and extinction. By understanding the different generations and what shaped them, we can sow understanding and enhance efficiency, communication, and teamwork within our agency. This slide is a visual representation of the named generations, beginning with the builders, most of whom have witnessed and experienced the effects of World War II. The youngest builders would be 77 or 78, and you might still see some in the workplace. At the Veterans Hospital in Reno, Nevada, I knew two builders who were physicians. One worked because he left his job and the other to pay alimony. Please try to imagine what the builders witnessed or may have even participated in when they were growing into adulthood. The next generation is the baby boomers. The youngest boomer would be 58 or 59 years old, and there are many who are still working. I am married to a boomer whose father was a World War II veteran. Many of the oldest boomers were drafted and fought in the Vietnam conflict. They were not welcomed home and were spat on after surviving a hellish experience that changed them in ways no one deserves. Next, we have Generation X, who range in age from 58 to 44. I am Generation X, and the workplace is filled with people from my generation. We are the ones who grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We also tend to believe that the best music in questionable fashion came from these decades. Generation Y, these are the infamous millennials. The rivalry between this generation and previous ones is legendary. But I believe this is because the older generations and millennials simply do not understand each other. These are the ones who witnessed 9/11 as children and young adults, and in a matter of a few hours, the world changed in ways that were unimaginable on September 10th. Finally, we come to Generation Z. These young people range in age from 13 to 28. They are the first to grow up with immediate access to a world of knowledge and the ability to interact with people all over the globe. All they need is a Wi-Fi connection and the desire to do so. This generation has also had to deal with cyberbullying and predators on the internet. As you can see, with the good also comes the bad. It is a fact that we are all shaped by our experiences. Lawrence Klinger and Nal Bandian explain that research has found that employment expectations are shaped by one's generational experiences. These scholars also emphasize this fact as the workplace is filled with employees who range in age from their 60s to their 20s. The majority of these employees encompass the generations from the baby boomers to Generation Z, with a few builders thrown into the mix. As previously stated, our experiences help to define who we are, so in the following slides I will provide examples of what may have shaped these generations. The builders, or traditionalists, are people who were born between 1925 and 1945. These are the ones who came of age during the Great Depression and World War II. Many learned to do without during the Depression and again with rationing to support the war effort. Their mothers went to work in the factories also in support of the war effort, while their fathers went to fight in the European, African, or Pacific theaters. While not everyone experienced these hardships, many did. The baby boomers are those who were born between 1946 and 1964. These people were shaped by the Korean War, the Vietnam conflict, and the Civil Rights Movement. Many young men dreaded the draft and waited to find out if their number would be called. This was considered a death sentence, as many believed they would never make it home after their tour. All male citizens or residents, whether they come to this country for an education or to permanently emigrate, must register for the draft if they are between the ages of 18 and 25. Failure to do so will make that citizen ineligible for federal employment until a waiver is granted by the Selective Service System. These waivers may take months to approve. Job offers are continually withdrawn once failure to register with the Selective Service System was discovered. Perhaps the greatest achievement during this period was the Civil Rights Act of 1964. While this was almost 60 years ago and our society still has a long way to go to ensure equality, this act began to change our country for the better. Generation X consists of people born between 1965 and 1979. We came of age in the 1970s, the 1980s, and the 1990s. These turbulent times witnessed the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. As a child, I listened to his I Have a Dream speech in school, which was played each year. This generation saw the Watergate scandal unfold and the resignation of President Richard Nixon as a result. Many people, like me, born after 1969, grew up believing that because our country successfully put a man on the moon, the United States could accomplish anything. These are the millennials who were born between 1980 and 1994. They grew up in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. The first millennials were born right before the Centers for Disease Control openly acknowledged the AIDS epidemic. They witnessed the aftermath of the Challenger explosion in 1986. They were taught about stranger danger and the Dare to Keep Kids Off Drugs campaigns, both of which are considered failures. They worried about Y2K and were old enough to understand how the world changed on 9/11. Generation Z consists of those born between 1995 and 2009. They are probably the youngest you will find in the workplace, at least for a few more years. They grew up living with the threat of global terrorism. As young children, they saw and learned about so many school shootings on the national news that another reported shooting was not surprising. They witnessed the Great Recession and how it affected their families and or friends. They live with more fear than I did at the same age as a Generation Xer. According to Gao, to achieve intergenerational communication efficiency, companies and organizations need to 1. Conceptualize intergenerational communication as a form of intercultural communication. 2. Craft clear vision statements. 3. Communicate with simple language to all generations. And 4. Engage in two-way communications via mass media and social media. According to the Information Resource Management Association, when traditionalists and baby boomers joined the workforce, communication was very formal. Today, communication is casual and colloquial. This can cause culture clashes. As communication is key in the workplace, it is essential that the culture be geared toward understanding and celebrating the different generations. For fostering successful interactions between the generations may help make this a reality. This topic, managing multiple generations, is too complex and complicated to cover the entirety of the subject in one short training. Therefore, this presentation has been designed to embrace the importance of understanding different generations and how life experiences may have shaped different generations in the workplace. Older employees over the age of 40 are protected by the Age Discrimination in Employment Act. This act does not provide protection to those employees under the age of 40, but they may have protections under state law. Ensuring your employees are treated with equity, preventing bias, and promoting diversity within your agency will help to ensure an efficient team in a psychologically safe environment. Failure to do this may lead to a hostile work environment and leave your agency open to a debilitating lawsuit and a toxic work environment. A great way to avoid this is to understand generational differences and promote an environment that embraces equity, diversity, and promotes communication among your employees.